Thank you guys. I am super, super excited for the next couple days. Like Brent said, I think over the last 10 years or so, I've done a lot of different events, but I don't think I've ever put as much prep time into anything as I have for this event. You can ask my wife. Last night I was studying my slides and getting through everything. She's like, I've never seen you like study for something before. I'm like, well, I want this to be more than just like a typical event. I want this to really be the turning point for a lot of your guys' lives. And so I put a lot of time and effort. And so just some really cool stuff, like the workbook that you guys have right here. What I try to do, and you'll see that as we start going through over the next 3 days, basically every concept we've ever done or taught or showed people before, like we do events and I teach a concept and then people would get excited, they learn, they go home and then they just like couldn't read, it's hard to remember things you learn from events sometimes, right? And so I wanted to figure out a way that we could really make it so that when you guys leave here, you can remember everything that we learned. And so I thought the coolest and the easiest way to do that was to figure out how to make little drawings to illustrate every single concept we talk about. And if you look through the book right now, you look at the drawings, half of them you're like, what in the world was Russell sketching out here? This makes no sense whatsoever. But then we'll do the session, we'll go through all this stuff, and at the end of it, the image will make perfect sense for you, and then when you go back home, you may, oh, what's that concept Russell was teaching about? I can't remember that thing. And you open the book and you see the image and instantly all that stuff will come back into your mind. So that's kind of the game plan. And literally like there's tomorrow we'll be talking about, or on Saturday, about how we write copy and how we do our webinars and everything like that. I literally we had a couple big desks in our office. I took every sales letter we've ever written, laid them all out, looked at everything we've ever done, and had everything we ever created, right? And started going through all of them and trying to find like, what are the common themes? What did we do? What was the process on every single thing? And then from that, turn them into very simple images that walk you through a process. So when you guys get home, you can just take it and copy it and just kind of model the thing. So anyway, I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited to kind of be sharing with you guys. And this event's going to be awesome. So I'm excited. All right. So to begin with, over the next 3 days, I kind of broke the next 3 days up into 3 sections. Day number 1 is today. We're calling this Ignite. Okay, and the reason why is because this is kind of like the ignition for your business. So we're going to be covering a lot of stuff that's going to be a lot of foundational things you need. And so this is kind of the beginning. We call the event.com Secrets Ignite as well, because that's what the game plan is, right? To kind of ignite your business and really take it to the next level. As a side note, for those of you guys, if you start getting tired throughout this event, if you notice in the back, we've got the MMA Ignite. Did you guys see that? It's our supplement. There it is right there. We got like 10 bottles of it here. So if you start getting tired a little bit, this is the plan. You go back there, you take a scoop in your water, you shake it up and drink it, and in about 5 minutes, your face will start tingling, and that's when you know it's working, right? And then after that, you won't be able to sleep the rest of the day, and you'll be alert and energy and everything. It's awesome. So it's our new supplement. Yeah, he's going back for some more. It's really good stuff. Sean actually over here, he's the one that invented it. And it's awesome. It tastes like Kool-Aid, but don't drink it like Kool-Aid. If you drink a lot of it, you can ask Garrett, where are you at? How much did you have yesterday? He hasn't slept yet. So there's your warning. But if you need to ignite your mind and just keep awake, especially after lunch, take a little shot of that and you'll be good to go. And you guys are definitely our guinea pigs. If you die or have any issues with it, let us know so that we can put more warnings on the label. I mean, it'll help when we start selling it. But it's one of our new supplements. So again, today we're talking about Ignite, and we're going to cover a lot of stuff, you guys. The second day is called Funnelology. Okay, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot recently about funnels and sales funnels, and the way my belief patterns and what we do is different than I think the way that anybody else does it. And so what we're going to do tomorrow is really cool. We're going to, at the beginning of the day, we're going to walk through the 7 phases of a sales funnel, and then we'll walk through the 31 building blocks of a funnel. And it's really cool because after you see this, you'll see you'll look at any of my offers, any of my products, and be like, "That's all Russell did." Like, I was telling someone this last night, but 4 or 5, I guess it was like 7 or 8 years ago now. Some of you guys may know Justin Brook. Justin Brook came and did a free internship for me. He flew out to Boise and worked for free for me for a month, right? And he was working with me, and I remember about 3 weeks into it, I took him out to dinner. He pulled me aside, and he's like, "You know what, Russell? You're really not that smart." I was like, "Wow, that's awesome. Thanks, man." He's like, "No. He's like, not that you're not smart. He's like, but all you do is like 4 or 5 things over and over and over again, and they work every single time." I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of the point, right?" He's like, "Well, everyone else is like doing all this crap, and they're teaching all this stuff, and you just do 4 or 5 things over and over and over again." I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of the way it works." He's like, "Yeah, so you're not that smart." So you guys will find out by the end of the event, you'll be like, "Wow, Russell really isn't that smart. This is a lot easier than I think. So you're going to see exactly what we do over and over again, and then we're going to have a really cool session where we're actually going to build out funnels. We're going to map it out. You guys can create whatever funnel you want, and then at the end of the day, we're actually going to open up our software, ClickFunnels, which some of you guys have had a chance to play with it, and you'll see how we can build any funnel you can dream of in about 15 minutes, and it's really, really cool. So that's going to be happening tomorrow. And then day number 3, I call this Inception. Who's ever seen the movie Inception? Okay, so the premise of that movie is Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He'd go back and he would place these ideas. They'd go in people's dreams, right? And they try to place an idea in somebody's mind in a dream that would get them to do something they needed to have happen, right? To cause this inception. And so I look at the way we do sales as inception, right? Because people hate to be sold, right? Who here likes to be sold? Well, I really enjoy it, actually. But like normal humans hate to be sold, right? But everybody loves to buy stuff. And so I'm going to show you the process we go through to take somebody where we just tell stories and we do this really cool process. And my goal is not to sell them anything. My goal is to give them an idea, to place a little epiphany in their mind. And as soon as I do that, if you do it correctly, then they have this idea like, I need to buy this thing. And if you can cause that to happen, it changes your whole business. You get people to start taking action and buying things without you selling stuff. And so that's what day 3 is about, is all the sales part of it. So that's kind of what the next 3 days are about. What this event's about, there's a couple reasons why we're doing this event. One is I wanted to give a really good foundation to all of you guys. I know everyone's kind of come with different backgrounds, and some people have been doing this for a long time, some are brand new, and I wanted to give a really solid foundation so that when you're done with this, you're like, okay, I understand the entire thing. The second thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make something that's very evergreen, because the worst thing about internet marketing is that it changes all the time, right? And I don't want to do this event, teach you guys a really cool tactic, and then you go home and in a week from now it doesn't work anymore. Part of the reason is because we're recording this and I want to sell this forever. And if I do that, then it's not going to work, right? So that's my selfish reason. The second thing is just for you guys as well. I don't want to teach you stuff that's going to kind of come and go. I want to teach all evergreen strategies that are timeless. It'll work today, tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now. In fact, I have twin boys, and my 8-year-old son last night, he wants to buy an iPad, so he's getting all this stuff he wants to learn how to make money. So he keeps asking me, Dad, how can I make money? How can I make money? And then last night I was putting him to bed, and I was telling him I was going to be gone today for this event. He's like, well, Dad, can you teach me how to make money? And I was like, well, that's kind of the whole point of this event. I'm recording this whole thing so that when you get to the point where you're actually ready to make money, you can just watch it and then you'll know how to make money. He's like, oh, cool, Dad. So that's kind of a big purpose behind it, is make it evergreen. The second thing about this event, why I think it's different than any other event, is all this internet marketing stuff we're talking about. Most of the teachers and trainers of internet marketing are people who read a book about it and then start selling stuff, whereas we actually do this stuff every single day. We sell supplements, we sell physical products, we sell coaching, we sell stuff in a ton of different industries and niches, and I think because of that we have a unique perspective on not just what works in the how to make money space, but what works in any business. So I'm trying to share strategies and principles that aren't just, there's a lot of tricks I can teach you how to make money in the make money business, but that's not the goal of this event. The goal is for whatever business you're in. I know we've got people that have real businesses here in this room. We've got people who are info businesses. We've got people that are selling supplements. We've got a really wide range of types of people here. And so I want to make something that's universal for anybody. So that's kind of the other big goal for this event. And the other thing that's kind of fun is, have you guys noticed, I don't know if it's just me, but the new hot trend or the hot thing on the internet right now that everyone's talking about is hacking, right? So growth hacking or lifestyle hacking, or ways to speed up things, right? How to get things done faster. And what's really interesting is we're about to launch this new software company. And so we've been trying to look at other software companies that have been successful. And it's shocking to me how none of these guys know anything about internet marketing. They put stuff out there and they just pray and hope that something works, right? That's what most of these guys are doing. And over the last year or so, the new buzzword for all these startups in Silicon Valley and stuff is we do this stuff called growth hacking, where we take our business and we hack it and we make it grow faster. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. I want to see what this growth hacking is. So I start looking at all of the articles talking about growth hacking, and guess what they're teaching? They're teaching internet marketing, the same crap we've been teaching for 10 years. But it's this big, huge new thing in Silicon Valley. Oh my gosh, growth hacking. You can actually buy ads to grow your business. You can do upsells. You can and it's this whole brand new world to them. So we're going to use the word hacking a lot just because it's the cool buzzword. But this is really, it's growth hacking. It's how to speed up the development and the process of your business, right? Things that used to take us and other people months, years, a long time, we can now do in a very, very short period of time. Yesterday in our mastermind meeting, I'm not sure if Shiloh is here or not, but she was talking about this stuff, and she was kind of concerned, like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got all these things I got to buy, and all, I got to hire designers, webmasters, all this stuff. And I was like, that was true like 2-3 years ago, but like you look at it right now with ClickFunnels and some of the stuff we're going to be showing you. Like literally with ClickFunnels, I don't need a programmer, I don't need a designer. I can lose like 90% of my staff, and luckily my programmers and designers aren't here, but they're going to find out really soon that they're no longer employed. But like you really don't need that stuff. Like the software we're creating is like hacking that process down for you guys, so that you can get everything you're doing can get done faster, easier, better. And that's kind of one of my big goals for this event, is to give you guys the tools, the resources, the systems to really speed up the growth on any kind of business you want to do. All right. Let's see. Now, one other thing is that some of you guys, by the end of this week, actually all of you, I promise you're going to feel a little bit like that, okay? For a couple reasons. First off, I talk really, 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 really fast. So a 3-day event is like 8 or 9 days for a typical person, right? So you guys are actually getting a week worth of stuff, and I'm showing you, and I want to serve you guys at the highest level, so I'm not going to slow down and try to I want to give you guys as much as I can. That's why we're recording this as well, so that after you guys leave this event, you can come back and watch the parts that you need to dig deeper. If I go over something a little too fast, you'll have the videos to kind of get deeper. But this feeling is a good feeling, okay? I don't want anyone to come back to me like, I got information overload. That's a good thing. Because the biggest problem most of us have in our lives, and this is true in sports and education, anything, is we're dabblers, right? We try something, we dabble over here, and we okay, and then you dabble over here. And because of that, you never become great at anything, okay? That's why I think the school system is so horrible, right? It takes you 5 years to get a degree, and you're dabbling in all these different subjects. I'm taking 12 different classes I'm learning a little bit about everything, but it's all jumbled together, and because of that, I'm not good at anything, right? Okay, I know that as an employer, that most people at college have no actual skills. They've dabbled in a million things and have nothing they can actually do, okay? And what I do instead, and what I believe in and what I follow is the concept of immersion. If I want to learn something, I need to immerse myself for a short period of time and just dump as much information as possible as I can. So these 3 days is like immersion. You guys are going to get more than you ever wanted or thought you needed, and you're going to feel overwhelmed. But what's cool about it is you're going to get the entire system, and until you get the entire system, nothing's going to make sense. If I'm just showing you this and this and this, and it takes 8 weeks for you to get the entire system, you're going to forget everything about day 1 and day 2, and it just doesn't make sense. Have you ever noticed when you sit down and if you read an entire book in a day, you make different connections than if you read a chapter a day for 3 or 4 months and finish a book, right? Your mind finds these connections, these things all start fitting together you wouldn't normally see. And so that's why we're doing it this way, because again, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel exactly like this little girl. This is my daughter. No, just joking. It's not really. But you're going to feel that way. You're going to feel overwhelmed, but it's important to do that, okay? And that's a good thing, so don't be concerned about that. Just understand that's the way you're going to get the entire picture, and then from there we can come back and you can break things down step by step. But until you have the entire picture, it's hard to really understand where we're going. And if you don't know where you're going, it makes this whole process a lot harder. Okay? I have a story, and we're going to be talking later today about parables. So this is one of my parables. But when I went to school here at Boise State, so just a couple blocks from here, and my senior year I had a creativity class, and my instructor's name was Dr. Murley, this little tiny dude, little Indian guy, and our senior project, whatever, is we had to create something, we had to make something creative, and we had to share it with the class. And so, I don't know, everyone had these weird ideas, and they're making these little projects and stuff, and I was doing this whole internet marketing thing, and I was like, well, I'm going to make a website and just sell something. So I made this little website. It was a membership site. I put it all together, and I set it up, and I launched it, and I got 200 or 300 members signing up for $30 or $40 a month, and I was excited. And I remember for my class, I came and I presented that. I said, okay, this is what I did, and I walked the whole process. I got the domain name and the idea, and this is how I created the content, and this is how I just walked through the whole process of how I made this site. And I said, and this is how I launched it, how I made money, and how right now it's making, I don't know, $7,000 or $8,000 a month, and this is my thing. And little Dr. Murley's over in the corner, you can see him just jumping around, freaking out, right? So I get done, he runs up, he's like, do you guys understand what he just said? He spent a month worth of time, he built this little business, $8,000 a month. That's, I can't do the math that. That's $100,000 a year. That's more than I'm making as a teacher. He's freaking out. He's like, you guys, you have any questions? And the students are typical college kids, sitting back in their chairs, barely awake. And one kid, leaning back, raises his hand. He's like, yeah, man, that seems really cool and all, but it seems like a lot of work. I remember sitting back, and I kind of laughed. And I didn't say this. I was too shy back then, but I wish I would have sent back and said, you know what? It took me a month of hard work. Like, it was hard. I put in all my extra time between wrestling practice and school, and I put in a lot of extra time. But in a 30-day period of time, I built an asset that's making me $8,000 a month and could make that for me for the rest of my life. Okay, that's $100,000 a year, and it took me a month to create that asset. Now it just works, right? I was like, for him, that kid, he's got another couple months of school, and he's going to graduate, and then he's going to go get a job. He's going to make, $22,000 a year, and then in a couple years, he'll get a raise, and a couple years, he'll get a raise, and hopefully by the time he dies, he's making $60,000, $70,000 a year. I don't know about you, but that seems like a lot more work than what I did, right? So what I want you guys to understand is that there are two paths, okay? In this path, this immersion and dumping a whole bunch of stuff on you and working your butt off for a little finite period of time is going to seem like a lot of work. But I promise you it's a lot less work than the other way around, okay? So if you guys can commit yourself to do that and put forth the effort, I promise you guys it's worth it. So success and failure, I want to talk about this. As a lot of you guys know, I've been doing this for over a decade now. Is that weird? The other day, I went to the doctor for something, and the girl thought I was 17 years old. So when I was 7 years old, I started doing this. Anyway, so I've been doing this for a long time, and it's been interesting as I've been doing this is like, there's a very clear path of people who have tons of success and the people who don't do anything. Okay, usually when I sit in a room of people like you and we start like asking questions and stuff, I can tell within a few minutes like who's gonna make money and who's gonna not. Isn't that weird? Like, you can tell really, really fast. And so there's a couple like telltale traits. Who's curious about what those are? Okay, so this is like, if I was going to dictate if you're going to be successful, this is the stuff. And the good news is there have been people who I thought would not be successful, and they changed their mind and they became successful. So these are all things you can do, but it causes you have to have a shift in your thinking to make it work. Otherwise, it's not going to work, right? So the first thing, and this is probably one of the biggest things, is the people that get in this business and their goal is, I got to figure out how to make money. I got to figure out how to make money. I got to figure out how to make money. Rarely have success in this business. Almost never do they have success in this business. Okay? If your goal is, I got to make money, that's hard. Now, as entrepreneurs, we all want to make money, right? Okay, that's not a bad thing. I want to make money every single day, but that's not my primary driving focus. The people who are successful, their primary driving focus is they've got something of value they want to do in this world, to share. Okay? They're good at fitness or nutrition or something that they're good at and they're passionate about, and their driving force in life is like, I want to help people with this thing that I've got. Okay? I was talking yesterday in our mastermind group about every single person, I believe every single person in this world has a superpower. I tell my kids this all the time. I'm like, what are your superpowers, guys? And the first time I had this conversation with them, Down's like, my superpower is hugging people. I'm like, that's a good superpower. And then Bowen's like, my superpower is running. And then my daughter says, well, Aiden's superpower is hurting people. Aiden's my little 3-year-old. Oh yeah, that's probably true. So I think everybody's got a superpower, okay? And I think every single one of you guys have a superpower, and it's something, okay? For me, I'm passionate about 3 or 4. I have 3 or 4 superpowers, but that's the thing that I'm most passionate in the world about, and I'm excited, I'm fired up, and I want to like share that and help people with that, okay? So for all you guys, you got to figure out what that superpower is, what you're passionate about, what the thing that you were put on this world, on this earth to help someone with. If you can figure that out and that becomes your driving focus, the money's going to come, okay? When I shifted my mindset from I got to make money to like, how can I serve people? How can I help people at a higher level? Everything changed for me, okay? So that's one of the biggest things, you guys, is we need to be focused on obviously the money, but the main focus has to be how can you help people? How can you serve people? And that's the focus. Everything else will just fit in, okay? All the other things will come to you. Okay, the next thing that's interesting is that, and this is weird. So every single one of you guys, all of us, we have a dream, right? Something we're trying to achieve. Okay, some of you guys it's money, some of you guys it's lifestyle, whatever it is. And if you look at like the reason why most people fail, if I was to ask you guys, you could all give me reasons why you think most people fail. But I believe that the number one reason why most people fail at this or at weight loss or anything they're trying to do is because they've got this dream, right? This thing that they want, okay? And they want to go do it. But the biggest thing is if they take that step forward and they try and they fail, that dream will disappear for them, right? That dream's gone. And so because of that, they're so scared to take that step because they don't want to lose the dream. They won't step at all. They'll just sit there. That's why there's so many people in any market, weight loss, make money, find everything, who will buy and they'll buy and they'll buy because that buying of stuff fuels their dream. But they will never act on it because the second they try, if it doesn't work, the dream's gone. Okay? And I promise you guys, if some of you guys are struggling, that's probably the reason. I'd bet money that's probably the reason for some of you guys. Okay, so what you have to understand is you have to disassociate yourself from the outcome. If you don't, you're going to be in this forever where you're just like, what if my dream goes away? I have a friend who's a chiropractor here in town, and one day he called me like 11 o'clock at night. It's like, hey man, everything's going under. I'm going to have to, I'm in trouble. I need to talk. I was like, all right. So we went and drove to his practice, and we sat down and we started talking, and he just started telling me, like, I don't have money to pay the bills, to pay my rent, we haven't taken a paycheck in a year, like all these things that entrepreneurs feel, right? You guys are all entrepreneurs. You felt that stuff before, right? It's scary. And they're real fears, okay? They're not fake. They're real things. And he went through this whole list of stuff, and I felt sick for him. And he said, he's like, I need some magical marketing advice. Like, give me some magic tip I can do that's going to take my business to the next level. And I looked at him, and I was like, I don't have a magic tip for you, man. But I was like, but this is what I got to tell you. I said, right now, like, what's the worst case scenario? If this whole thing just disappeared tonight, what's the worst case scenario? He's like, well, I'd go bankrupt. I'm like, hey, well, what else what would that cause? Well, if I went bankrupt, I'd have to move. What would that mean? Well, if I have to move and go bankrupt, my in-laws are going to think less of me. And we started listing off all the fears he had in his head, all the reasons why he was scared. And then I took that. I said, do you want to know the reason why your business is not successful? I said, those fears are so real for you. You're scared to take that step. If you take that step, those fears could come true, right? I said, the only way you can move forward is you have to look at those fears in the eye. You have to look at the worst case scenario and be completely okay with it. Because until you do, you will not be able to move. Okay, we had a time in our company where we had 100 employees. Our overhead was about $800,000 a month, and I thought I was on top of the world. And in one day, everything collapsed. Everything just fell down around my feet. And I had those same fears, and I was just scared to death. And for a couple days, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move because I was so scared. It wasn't until I sat down and said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And I listed it out, and I was like, I'm okay with that. And as soon as I became okay with that, it gave me the ability to step out and start going after it and start doing what I needed to do to make changes, okay? And because of that, we were able to change our business and everything. I look at my friend as a chiropractor. He tells me that night was a defining point in his career. So that's when it changed. And I suddenly was okay with the worst case scenario, and I was able to move forward and have success. So for you guys, I would look at that, like, look at what's the worst thing, because if you're okay with the worst case scenario, now you've got what you need to start moving forward, okay? I have a friend who teaches personal development stuff, and he gave me a really interesting analogy. He said that all of us as like driven entrepreneurs, we go to events, we buy courses, we do all this stuff so we can figure out how to go forward, right? We're sitting in a car and we got the gas pedal and going forward. He said the biggest issue is like, we're sitting in the car and we're flooring the gas, but at the exact same time we got our foot on the brake. Okay, it's like that's what a lot of people are struggling with. They have foot on the gas, foot on the brake, and the wheels are spinning and you're not moving. Okay, if you ever feel like you're spinning and nothing's moving, that's what's happening. You got your foot on both things. You got to get your foot off the freaking brake, and then you can go forward. Okay, so that's the stuff I'm talking about now is getting those things out so you get your foot off the brake. Cool. So those are the big things between success and failure that I've seen that I wanted to kind of cover real quick. So next thing is the secret formula. Who here wants to know the secret formula? Okay, this image here is in your book. Is that a cool little sketch or what? So this kind of goes against some of the initial mindset stuff as well. If you look at how a lot of people get into this or any business, usually you come and you've got a product, right? You're like, oh, here's a product, or I joined some company and here's my opportunity, or you come with something and you try to start building a business around there. I did the same thing. That's why I got started. I made some product, came out to try to sell it, and I had some initial success, but it never really blew up for me until I understood this principle right here. Okay? The very first question you got to ask yourself is who? Okay? Who is it that you actually want to serve? For probably 7 or 8 years of my business, I didn't know who that person was. I was just selling stuff. Okay? It wasn't until I sat back and really said, like, who do I want to sell to? Like, who's the kind of person I'm going to be working with every single day? Okay? Because for most of you, this is going to become a full-time. If it's not right now, it'll become a full-time gig, right? This is your thing. So you have to like be in love with the person you want to serve. Okay? And so for us in our company, we sat down one day about a year ago, and I was like, look, right now we're selling. A lot of people we were selling were like brand new beginners. Nothing was happening. I was like, I want to work with people who are having success, and we can help take them to that next level. And so we sat down and we said, let's figure out who that person is. So literally, this is the process we went through. And you guys do the exact same thing. I sat down, and I wrote out a girl's name. In my mind, I said, I want to work with someone named Julie. Like, she's like my dream person, okay? I said, now what are the characteristics of Julie? I'm like, well, she's successful. She's a driven woman. She wants success really, really bad. Also, Julie, she's got a message. and she has this message and she knows that she could change the world. She could just get it out to more people, but she has no idea how to do that. Maybe she's doing it a little bit, but just not to the level she wants to yet. Okay, she values her own personal growth over the money she's going to make. Okay, that's the kind of people I want to work with. And then the last thing is that she's already got a business that's making some money. Okay, I want someone who's moving forward and doing some stuff. So I wrote out those characteristics. I went to Google Images. I typed in Julie, successful, driven businesswoman, and I typed in some of these keywords here. I clicked the button, and Google Images, all these faces started showing up, right? I'm looking through, I'm like, no, don't want to work with her, don't want to work with her. All of a sudden I saw Julie. I was like, boom, that's who I want to work with. Okay, now I'm curious, in this room, the women in this room, who here relates to Julie? Who here does that kind of sound like you a little bit? Okay, there's a reason for that. Okay, we architect it to get the right kind of person in the room. Who wants to see my male avatar? Boom, here's Mike. So Mike is a former athlete. How many former athletes do we have in the room right now? Isn't that weird? How when you know who you want, you can get them. Okay, I wanted someone who would change someone's life in a small way. So they were a coach, they'd done something in somebody's life and they'd helped them in a small way. And they loved that feeling of like, man, I helped this person. I want to help more people. I want to help the entire world. Okay, so that's the thing. Same thing, he valued growth over money and he's already got something happening and he just wants to take it to the next level. Okay, does that speak to a lot of you guys? Is that interesting? Okay, none of you guys would have came to my old events. I promise you, because I wasn't targeting the right kind of person. It wasn't until we were very, very clear on exactly who we wanted until we got you guys in the room. Is that interesting? It's interesting to me. You can ask Brent, ask anybody who's been on my team for more than 5 or 6 years. The way we got the caliber of people, and this speaks a lot to you guys. You guys are a high caliber person. The way we got you guys in the room was through this process. Okay, so that's the first thing: is who is it you want to talk to? Okay. And for all you guys, you got to figure out who that person is. I highly recommend doing the Google image thing. Find that person, print it out, put them on a poster, have them on your wall, because you want to see that person every single day. I was talking to Perry Belcher about this, and he said that when he used to sell stuff retail to like Bed Bath & Beyond and stuff, I don't know if you guys know Perry's whole story, but you ever use that Pomerel hand sanitizer stuff? You know what I'm talking about, the liquid stuff? Perry invented that. He was trying to make these flammable, or these wax candles, and it didn't work, and they kept catching on fire, and then the guy was like, well, you know, they'll sanitize your hands. He's like, are you serious? Packaged in a bottle, started selling it, made millions of dollars, sold it to a guy for $1.something million, and that guy turned around the next, like a week later, and sold it to Purell for like $50 million, some crazy amount, something like that. But anyway, I was talking to Perry. He said, when I used to go pitch stuff to retail places like Bed Bath & Beyond, he said, I would go talk to the person, and I'd be like, this is the product, and he said that the buyers would look at you like, I don't know if Julie's going to like this. He's like, Julie, like, let me talk to, if she's the decision maker, I want to talk to Julie. And they're like, no, Julie's our ideal customer. Like, we make all of our decisions based on if Julie's going to want to buy it or not. Is it interesting? I thought that's really cool. The big companies are doing that. We should be doing that as well. So I highly recommend figuring out exactly who it is you want, because you're going to be hanging out with these people. Okay? I spent 4 days of my life working, getting you guys here to hang out with you, because I like you guys. You're the kind of people I want to hang out with, okay? And if you don't design that from the very beginning, you're going to get a lot of people you do not like, okay? Not that I didn't like my old customers, but I didn't like my old customers, okay? So that's the first thing. The second step is, where are these people at? Okay? Everyone's like talking, how do you get traffic? How do you get traffic? Like, the traffic, it's a two-step process, and we're going to go over a lot of that today. But the first step is, who are the people at, and then where are they at? Okay, until you know exactly where they're at, you can't get traffic. You're like, oh, I want to do Facebook. Like, well, are your people on Facebook? I don't know. Facebook. I saw some ad on Facebook. No, you got to know exactly where those people are at if you're going to target them. Okay. The next thing is, you got to have the right bait to get the person in the door. Okay. How many of you guys ended up somehow here at this event because you saw my book, 108 Split Tests? Okay. I would bet you more than half of you guys. If we look back at our sales funnel, when we started kind of re-architecting our business about a year ago, I looked at all of our old offers that we were putting out there, and the offers we were putting out there, the bait we were throwing out into the water was all like, get rich quick on the internet, make money now, okay? What kind of people does that target? Okay, if I throw that bait in the water, that's the kind of person I'm going to get. When we shifted the bait to something that would attract our ideal person, we changed our audience, changed everything about our company. So, and we're going to talk a lot about how to create your offers and stuff like that, but you got to look at what's the bait you're using, because that is, if you use the wrong bait, you're not going to get the person you want. Use the right bait, you'll get the exact person you want into the room, okay, or into the place that you want to sell them, okay? And then the last step here is, now you've got this person, where do you want to take them to? And we're talking a lot about this in the next session, but but where do you want to take this person to? Okay, I don't look at business anymore as like, here's a product I'm selling. It's where do I want to take this person to? Okay, my dream for all of you guys here is to be in the group we did yesterday. Okay, the group we did yesterday, everyone paid $25,000 to be there. And my goal is for you guys to get to, those who aren't in that group right now, to get you to a spot where you can afford that so you can come in that group, because that's where I can serve you at the highest level. So these guys who were in the meeting yesterday, was it awesome? Yeah. And so I want to be able to serve you guys at that level. That's where I want to take you all at. And some of you guys aren't there yet. Some of you guys will be there soon. But that's my goal. Okay? Not because I want to make tons more. Well, I do want to make tons more money. But the real reason is because I want to serve you guys at a different level. And I can't do that in bigger groups. The smaller groups I can do when you charge more, and I can serve at a bit different level. And that's why we have higher end things. Same thing for you is where do you want to take people? What's your end goal with them? And if you think about that, it's going to help everything else we're doing. All right? Okay, there's the secret formula. Okay, the next thing, but this is kind of a formula to figure out how much money and how much work you actually have to do. Cool, so page 9 is this graph. One of my early mentors, the guy named Dan Kennedy, I'm sure I'll talk about him a lot. And I want to preface this as well. Throughout this event, I'm going to teach you guys a lot of cool stuff. Some of it's mine, a lot of it's not. Okay, I've learned from some amazing coaches and mentors, and I will always try to give credit for anything that I learn from somebody else anytime I can. Just this kind of way that I roll. But Dan Kennedy, one time, I heard him talking. He said that he basically said, "What's your number, Russell?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, how much do you need to make?" It's like, "I don't know, as much as I can." He's like, "You've got like the entrepreneurial problem." He said, "All these entrepreneurs want to make as much as they can, and because of that, you get it." Because like, think about it. When we first get in this business, what's the reason for us getting in business? Money for some people. Some people it's freedom. Get away from your boss, more time with your family, right? We have all these reasons why we get into this business, okay? But then you get in the business and it's actually kind of fun, don't you think? It's almost like gambling, like you're putting stuff in and money comes, and it's just like this thing where it becomes obsessive and suddenly this thing you created to give you more free time becomes this thing that consumes all of your time, okay? I've struggled with that a lot. A lot of people do. And so when he was talking about this, he said, yeah, if you're not careful, this will become your entire life. And everything you held dear and the reasons why you got into this business, you will lose because of it. He said, you've got to have a number. Like, you have to have that number in your head. And so I started thinking about that. I was like, okay, what's my number? What's that thing I'm working towards? I didn't have a number at the time, so I kind of sat back and I was thinking, well, how much money do I actually need? Do I need? Okay? And I ask, for a lot of the guys, I've done the intake calls, you guys, I always ask you guys this, and I get all sorts of interesting responses. I had someone the other day, he may be here, I can't remember for sure, so I'm gonna tease you if you are. But I was like, how much money do you need? He's like, $5 million. I'm like, $5 million? Okay, you want to make $5 million? So, no, I need take home $5 million. I'm like, you need take home $5 million? Like what? He's like, yeah. So after advertising costs, everything, I need $1 million in my bank account this year. I'm like, wow. I'm like, well, for you to take home $5 million, you got to make, I don't know, like $30 million. Like that's just not the thing. I'm like, and why do you need $5 million? What do you need $5 million for? And he starts going all these stuff. I'm like, man. I was like, okay, I wanted to exercise with you because this is important. So. Because if you start with this in your mind, I think it'll make, a lot of us want to make $1 million online, and that's a great goal, but it's not really necessary. So tell me some things you guys, like in your dream lifestyle, what are some things you want? Personal chef, okay, that's a good one. I'm putting it out here, chef. How much does a personal chef cost per month? What's your guess? So $2K a month? Let's do $2K. Okay. How about a house? Who wants a nice house? $2 million house. Okay, what's the house payment on a $2 million house? Do you know? Okay. $12K, you can live in a $2 million, $12K a month, $2 million house. Okay. Who here wants a Ferrari? You do not get a Ferrari. I have one. They're the worst freaking car on earth. Seriously, it's got 31,000 miles. I've driven it 6 days. It's been in the shop 3 times so far. Don't buy a Ferrari. It looks nice. I was telling my wife, I was like, I know what it feels like to be a smoking hot girl now. Because I drive down the road, and the girls don't notice you. None of them do. They just drive by. But all the guys are like, oh, honking, like pulling your camera out. Like me driving it from my house to the shop. I had 3 people pull up next to me to taking pictures and like speaking off, like calling. And I'm like, you kidding me? So anyway, I know what it feels like to be a hot girl now. And it's really exciting. Like, you guys are lucky. Like, I wish that I could have felt that earlier in my life. So let's say you want a car like a Ferrari, but it's not a Ferrari. Okay, like what's a Tesla? Let's do Tesla, right? Those are pretty cool. Okay, and you got all the other cool things. So Tesla, what's that, like $1,200 a month? Okay, what else do you guys want? No debt? Okay, so get rid of your debt. Let's say your debt payment's $1,000 a month. Vacations, okay, how many vacations do you want to do? I shouldn't ask you this. You're like a junkie with this kind of stuff. This is someone, by the way, who has crafted a lifestyle business. Yesterday, we're like, hey, you should do this. He's like, nah, I didn't get in this business to work. All right, well, that's good for you. Okay, let's say you spend $2,000 a month on, so that's like 20 grand a year on vacation. I think 20 grand a year, can that feed you, hopefully? Well, for average humans, can you guys handle $20,000 a year in vacation money? All right, so let's just, and then you got your other like random stuff. Let's just put like $5K a month for random stuff, whatever it is, right? So you do the math on this. You're looking at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So when all said and done, let's say we're about 20K a month. Okay, 20K a month. Just so you guys know, that's a lot of money. I don't live on 20K a month. I live on about half of that, and I live pretty dang nice. Okay, 20K a month. If you get a business making you take, not netting 20K, but your take home is 20K a month, you can live an extraordinary life. You can travel wherever it is you want. You can live in whatever house you want. You can drive whatever car you want. You can put your kids in the nicest school. You can do everything you want on 20K a month. You do not need more money than that. Okay, some of you guys think you do, but you don't. I promise you that. Now, I'm not against you guys making more than that, but I'm saying this is the number that we should all be focusing on, because that's when you're free. Okay, financial freedom is here. With this kind of 20K a month, that gives you enough where you're putting at least 10K a month into the bank, just sitting there doing nothing, and that's, at least in my mind, is financial freedom. Okay, you guys agree with that? Okay, because you don't, if you want, the guy was telling me the one of the $5 million, he's like, well, I want a $3 million house. I'm like, you don't pay cash for it? Come on, man, like, that's why there's easier ways to do it, right? Okay, so take this little chart out, and on the right-hand side, let's just write $20,000 per month. So I want to like kind of put this in perspective of how you can make $20,000 a month on about 100 clicks a day. Now I'm going to reverse engineer this, okay? Now when we start building stuff, usually it's going to come back this direction, but I like working financially backwards, okay? But just kind of give you perspective. Over the next couple of days, what you're going to be learning is over here we got our traffic, right? And then we have our initial funnel. I call this the POS funnel. Anyone know what POS stands for? Retail? Yes. POS, point of sale, right? So my goal with any sales funnel I build, my initial goal, my point of sale, my very first sales funnel is to break even. If I can break even, then I call that an SLO. Anyone know what the SLO stands for? Self-liquidating offer. Okay, this is the key. Everyone thinks, like, I'm going to make a funnel, make $1 million on the funnel. No, your goal with your initial funnel is to break even. If you can break even on your initial funnel, you'll be a millionaire, right? Okay. Mike here, I met him when he was 17 years old, had an ebook on how to stop blushing. I'm going to make him blush right now. Okay. 2 years later, sets up a funnel, does over $1 million the next year. You get a funnel that breaks even, game over. Okay. So this is the initial goal. Drive traffic to a funnel that's going to break even. That becomes a self-liquidating offer. After you've broken even and you got this person's name, then we push them to 3 different things. One is continuity. Continuity is where somebody signs up for something and you bill them every single month. Okay, continuity is awesome, by the way, especially if you're trying to get some of this. Next thing is back-end sales. We're going to talk a lot this weekend about back-end sales. Okay, so you sell something, a really expensive, high-ticket thing. And down here is bonus. This is anything else you sell them that's just free money that it's just free money. Every time you send out an email, you make free money, okay? So these are the kind of the things we're going to do. Now, I'm not going to talk about the bonus stuff because that's like, I want to go on a big trip next month and I need an extra 5K. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do to get that bonus money that you're not going to tie in. We're just going to focus on these first 2, okay? So the first one let's talk about is the continuity. So I'm going to split my $20,000 a month I need to make. I'm going to split between continuity and back end. Now, for some of you guys, you're going to be like, I don't want to do back end, and you're going to shift your numbers to just pure continuity. Some of you guys are just going to want to do back end, and so it's going to change. But I'm just going to split my money 50-50. So I'm going to have $10,000 right here, and $10,000 right there. So if you guys want to write that in, $10,000 on the top line, $10,000 on the bottom line. To put this in perspective, continuity, that little dollar sign, that's how much you're going to charge for your program. So let's just say, for numbers purposes, that you're going to charge $50 a month for somebody to join your program. Okay, so put 50 in that little dollar sign. Now, how many people do I need to have at $50 a month to make 10 grand? Where are my mathematicians in the room? 200. Okay, so in the little member underneath there, put 200. Isn't that crazy? You only need 200 people on continuity to make 10 grand a month. People are always like, I want 3,000 people on my continuity program. That's a lot of headaches. Why don't you just get 200 and just be done? Game over, right? Okay, now down here back end. So You can still back into things for any kind of price point, right? There's 5,000, 8,000, 15, 25. We even have $1 million program. Robbie just closed the first $1 million program for us. Who here wants to buy that, by the way? Yeah, I'll tell you all. Robbie will tell you all about it. He'll break it down in excruciating detail. Now, basically, for $1 million, $100,000, we go out, build the funnel for you, and we get 10% up to $1 million. So back end can be anything, but for numbers purposes, let's just say your back end's $5,000. Okay, so let's put a $5,000 number there. So members, we got to have obviously 2 people to make our 10 grand a month, right? Are these numbers crazy yet? I'm trying to be like conservative, so it's like realistic for everybody. Okay. All right. Now with the continuity program, you got to figure that every month people are going to cancel. Every month you're going to be adding new people. So right here, NM is new members. So I usually try to budget about 25%. 25% people are going to leave each month. I need to add at least 25% to keep that number all working, right? So 25% is 50 people. So I put 25% in the little percent box, which is 50 people. So 50 people a month I need to get into my membership site just to keep it sustained there. Now if I get 100, it's going to grow. If I get less, it'll shrink. So I try to keep about 25% that I'm adding each month. All right, now down here on the back end, I have apps. Okay. Now I figure if you suck at selling and you butcher the process we're going to teach you this week, you should be able to close at least 1 out of 10 people who apply for your high-end thing. Would you agree with that?
If you butcher it, if you're terrible, 2 or 3.
Yes. So let's make a worst case scenario. You don't even call the person back. You're going to close 1 out of 10, right? So we need 20 applications here to get 2 sales. All right. So there's that first part. So does that all seem realistic? Is that all doable? You guys all comfortable with those numbers so far? Okay. So I'm going to come over here. So you've got your point of sale. So what I try to do, again, I'm trying to break even on my initial funnel. We're going to help you guys build out. And then after we break even, I'm going to try to get you guys to join my continuity and apply for my coaching program, right? Now, pretty conservatively, if you build a good campaign, the way I'm going to show you guys this weekend, of the people who buy your front-end funnel, about 30% you can get into continuity. Okay, so up here at the top, I'm putting in 30%. So that means if I need to get 50 new members a month, how many new people do I need to have buy my front-end funnel? 150, okay? So right there, buyers, right, 150 buyers. Now, the way we're going to show you guys how to do the funnel with free plus shipping and stuff like that, we average about it's usually higher than that, but just be conservative, about 5% of the people who we drive to our free plus shipping page are going to buy our front-end offer. So this little percentage is going to be 5%. Okay, so 5% of the traffic I get is going to convert into a buyer. So from that means I need, who can do the math, how many clicks I need that means? 3,000. So 3,000, 5% of 3,000 is 150 buyers. So I need 3,000 clicks a month to get my 150 buyers. 3,000 clicks a month to break down to daily thing, about 100 clicks a day. To come to my front-end funnel. From that, 5% of those people buy, they become buyers. From those buyers, I'm going to get 30% to ascend into my continuity program. And from there, all the rest kind of fills out. And from those 150 people, I'm going to get 20 people to fill out an application. Does that seem doable? Who here would $20,000 a month net profit change your life right now? Okay, so that's our goal, guys. My goal is not to make you a millionaire or a billionaire. We can get that net. The $100,000 program we get, and $1 million program we get there. This one, like, let's set this as your goal. I promise you guys, it's more than you need. It's more than I need. It's more than any of us need, okay? And then we can go from there. That's all fine and dandy. We can grow and we can be passionate. We can build businesses and serve more people. But first, let's get here, okay? That's got to be the very first goal. It's interesting, like, the reason why I want to show you guys this is because this is something you can gauge yourself against. Okay, you start building out your business, you're gonna start driving traffic and seeing stuff, and you'll be able to look at this and start putting in the numbers and be like, well, I'm doing this, but I'm only getting 2% to buy here. I need to tweak that and change it, right? I'm getting 5% to buy there, but then only 10% are by my continuity. What do I need to tweak and change and get that better? I learned a valuable lesson. I've learned it multiple times in my personal life and in my business. What I learned is that whatever we track and we measure will start to grow. Okay? And if we don't track and measure it, it won't. For example, after I got done wrestling, I was in awesome shape. I was 7% body fat, and I had the great idea of stopping everything and just eating a lot. And I was lucky enough that my wife got pregnant with twins, so she was eating a lot, even more than me. She was pounding food, and I was like, this is awesome. I was eating food, stopped doing any kind of exercise, and within about a year, I went from a stunning 7% body fat to like a 20-something% body fat. And I looked and I felt horrible. And for 4 or 5 years, I didn't do anything. I'd go to the gym and I'd get all crazy. I'd work out and I was sore and I wouldn't go back again. And it's just like for 4 or 5 years, like it was horrible, okay? And then one day I met Sean over here and I called him up. I was like, hey man, I'm fat. What can you do? And he's like, come on in. We're going to measure you, right? And he pinches me. He's like, oh, you are fat. Wow. And he writes down my numbers. And he writes down everything. He's like, okay, do some exercise. So I started doing some stuff. And he's like, wow, you are out of shape. And he writes down my numbers, right? And he goes through this entire process. And I'm like, man, this is like horrible. Like, I didn't know I was that bad, but I started measuring it, right? And then I came in the next day and I did it again. And the next day I did it again. And after a week, and then after 2 weeks, and after like 6 weeks, he came back and he pinched me and goes, guess what? You're not as fat as you used to be. This is awesome. Okay? And guess what? You used to be right here. You're a little bit higher. Okay? And did that again, did that again. And within, how many months was it? Like in 6 or 7 months, got me back down to 11% body fat, which was awesome. Okay? What I relearned over and over again is like what you're looking at, what you're measuring is going to grow or shrink if you need to go that way. Okay? But most of us, we never track anything, we never look at anything. Okay, for example, last year in our company, every single month, at the beginning of the month, we're like, hey, we need to hit this amount of sales. We got all excited, like what we needed to do, right? And on the first month we go out there, we start working our butts off, and by the second we're working, by like the third or fourth, whatever happened, and by the end of the month, we're like, okay, how much money do we make this month? We get all excited, and Susan would send us over the numbers, and we look at it, and we're like, oh, that's what we made last month. Huh. Let's have a meeting. Let's get fired up. So we got all fired up again. Next day came in, all right, this month we're going to beat it. We're going to do everything. We set all these goals and everything. We start working, and then a month later, we get the thing, and we come back, we're like, that's what we did last month. Every single month last year, you guys, we made the exact same amount of money. So about December, I got pissed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how are we not like getting better at this? Like, we're getting smarter, we're doing everything, but we're getting the exact, literally almost to the dollar, like the exact same gross profit every single month. So in January, I had this idea. I'm like, what if we started tracking what we're doing? That would be awesome, right? So we built this whiteboard out, and the way that I structured it, and you can do this however you want, but this is the way that I did it, so it made sense to me. I had this big whiteboard. I broke it up like this. So right here, we put in like all of our products. Here's our .com secret stuff, and here's our sales stuff, and here's our Neurocell, and here's all our different products, right? And here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And every day, we come in and we write down how much money we made the day before. So we made, $5,000 here, made $13,000 here, made, all these different things, and then we total up for the day. Next day, we do that, next day, we do that. And at the end of the week, we clear it all off, and we have week one, and we have the total here. Next week, we go through this, and then we tally out here and here. So every week, so we see our daily numbers, our weekly numbers. At the end of the month, we drop the number down here. Okay, and then there's our number for the month. So January did that, and guess what? Exactly the same as December. That sucks. February came back, and it got a little bigger. March came back, and we added over $200,000 in revenue. Okay? This month came back, and we doubled what we made here. Every single month started growing, boom, 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 boom. Okay? And I don't think consciously we were doing anything different. The only thing different is every single day we saw those numbers. We started tracking it. We started looking at it. When you look at the number and it's smaller today than yesterday, you get a little nervous and you try a little harder. Okay? And our numbers just started going up. Now, what's interesting is sometimes you don't always track the right numbers. Because what we were tracking 100% was gross revenue, right? So our gross revenue is going like this. Okay? Last month, I looked at our net, and our net was going like this. It was like following it. So our profit wasn't growing. And so for this month and for the next few months, guess what number I'm measuring? We're still measuring gross sales because that's exciting, but our more important number we're measuring is our net profit. Because we weren't measuring that, so it was just, we were spending what we were making. Does that make sense? So you start looking at your business, start looking at the right things, and figure out what to measure, okay? We call these things in your business, we call them KPIs, key performance indicators. So KPIs are key performance indicators. Now every business has these. If you look at losing weight, you have these. You look at anything you're doing in your life, you've got these. Your relationships, you've got these. The biggest key is figuring out what those KPIs are and then tracking and measuring them. And if you do that, then they're going to grow. If you don't do it, they're just going to stagnate and die, okay? And so as we go through this week, you guys, you're going to learn a lot of the key things we're looking at, what the metrics are, what we're looking for. And it's going to seem mathy and nerdy at first, and I promise you guys, though, it's cool when it equals money, okay? I hate math more than anyone, but I love money more than anyone, so it's really fun when you can make it a game, make it fun, and we'll do that with you guys this week. One last thing I want to mention is about 4 or 5 months ago, I met this guy named Carl at an event, and just like an event you guys are at right now, And he said something cool to me. He's like, hey man, do you want to be my accountability partner? I'm like, what's an accountability? I knew what it was. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, this is how it works. He's like, you get a check out, you write me a check, and you put down a number, like $2,000. Okay, you write $2,000 on it, you give me that check, and then I write you a check for $2,000. We both keep these checks. And this is how it works. We're gonna go and hold each other accountable. And every other week, we're gonna get on a call for an hour, and you're gonna tell me what you're gonna accomplish the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna accomplish the next 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, we're gonna go out, and we come back 2 weeks later. If you accomplish that thing, I won't cash your check. If you didn't, I'm cashing your check. And the same thing for me. We're holding ourselves accountable. I was like, all right, man, I'm in for that. That sounds like a lot of fun. So wrote him a check, he wrote me a check, and we started our first thing. And the first one was awesome. We sat down and said, okay, these are our goals. This is what we're going to do. And I listed out 4 or 5 things. And the key to this is they all have to be tangible things that he could actually measure. It can be like, oh, I'm going to try to make some more money. Like, that's stupid. It's got to be like, in 2 weeks from now, this product's going to be done, my funnel's going to be live, and I'll bought my first ad. Okay, it's got to be stuff like that, very, very specific. And so we did the first thing and said, okay, we made that list of stuff. And what happened was interesting. Next week or so, I'm just doing my thing, and then half a week later, I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden, there's like 2 days before my call with him, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get stuff done. And I sat down, and I busted my butt, and I got everything done just in time for my next call, so he wouldn't cash my check. Okay. Now, what's interesting about all of us as humans, and I'm the worst, like probably one of the worst people at this in the world, is like no matter how much time you have, you'll never get something done until right when it has to be done. You guys noticed that before? Somehow we just have the ability of filling up time with whatever's happening. And so having something like this in place where every week, every 2 weeks, whatever it is, we have somebody that's holding you accountable, and there's something on the line if you don't execute on it, is one of the most powerful things you can do to actually get stuff done. And so what I want you guys to do during the break we're going to take right now is I want you guys each to find an accountability partner. Okay? And all of you guys can figure out what's going to make the most sense for you. I encourage it have it be someone you don't already know. If someone you're here with right now, it's not going to work because then you're going to be too easy on each other. Find someone you've never met before and just say, hey, I want to be an accountability partner, and figure out the terms of your deal. It could be, I'm going to write you a check for $100, something like that. It could be whatever it is. Figure out something that's actually going to be meaningful to you and hold you accountable. And set up a time where next, Tuesday after you get home, you got a day to kind of process. Tuesday, have your first meeting with that person and hold each other accountable. Okay, I promise you, if you do that, your likelihood of success will, I don't know the actual number, 1 billion times higher. Okay, whatever that number is, it's gonna be a lot better. So I want you guys to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, move around the room, find somebody you don't know already, and become accountability partners. Trade information with that person, and do your first thing on Monday. You guys commit, or on at least Tuesday at the latest, have your first meeting. You guys all commit to that to me? Can you guys all commit to that to me? Yes. Awesome, way better. Cool. Okay, so that's it for this first session.